This is ANN News Brief.
A Libyan Coast Guard spokesman says dozens of Europe-bound migrants have been intercepted off the country's Mediterranean coast. EuropeBound said on Sunday the migrants were returned to shore and were being taken to a detention center in the capital, Tripoli. Gazim said a rubber boat with 89 African migrants, including 16 women and 2 children, were stopped on Saturday in the towns of Combs, about 75 miles east of Tripoli. Migrants fleeing war and poverty to Europe have been using Libya as a major transit point. In recent years, the EU has partnered with Libya's Coast Guard and other local groups to stem the dangerous sea crossing. Right groups say those policies leave migrants at the mercy of armed groups. They are also most often confined in squalid detention centers where abuses abound. It's now just under a month before South Sudan opposition leader Riek Machar and President Salva Kiir are expected to form a unity government after a 5-year civil war. Machar has met with President Kiir over the weekend, but told a visiting UN Security Council delegation on Sunday he probably wouldn't be a part of the unity government in November. This has put a damper on hopes that the peace progress was moving along. The UN delegation says Machar's concerns can be resolved by the deadline. The two leaders signed a peace deal a year ago, but it had been delayed several times. The government says it has no funds for disarmament and army integration. We'll be right back.
Whether in your house, at your office, on your phone or online, we are there. We have the facts behind the headlines. We cut to the chase with the news you really need. We cover every angle. We are the bigger, better news network. We are African News Network. ANN. Watch ANN News on MITV from a truly African spirit.
There is a twist to the pending teacher strike in Zimbabwe. The Progressive Teachers Union of Zimbabwe, PITU, says its members will now report for duty only twice a week starting this week. The union says its teachers could no longer afford transport fares to and from work. The government was informed about this decision in a letter on Friday to the Public Service Commission chairperson Vincent Hongwa. PITU's Secretary General Raymond Majongwa says teachers who are part of the 15,000-member union will also abandon formal clothing during their official duty hours because they can no longer afford the cost of the outfits as well. He said teachers' earnings have been eroded by continued price increases that have pushed the country's inflation upwards to 591%. The crippling strike by junior doctors working in the country's public hospitals enters its 50th day today. The doctors have rejected the government's proposed 60% wage hike. They say their wages must be pegged against the US dollar. On Friday, the government revised the offer to 100%. President Emmerson Mnangagwa has accused the striking doctors of being used by the enemy to advance the regime change agenda against his administration. That is ANN News Brief. For details on these and other breaking stories, visit our website, annafrica.news. Conversation continues on our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at ANN Africa TV. I am Olajumoke Olatunji.